Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Life of Love, where we gather every Thursday to talk to other curious minds and explore how we can live in a more inspired and productive and fun way. Life isn't always about everything going easy. And today we have a guest who's been through some rocky roads, and although he's young, he's survived some turmoil, and he's coming here from Louisiana. So he's a Southern boy, and it's really fun to talk to people in my area of the country. I encourage anyone who can go to Louisiana, go visit. But John's been really busy finding his path, and he's going to share his story. So I'm just delighted to introduce John. Thanks for being on Life of Love.
Well, thank you for having me. Any opportunity I get to push the message and everything in which saved my life is just I take it, because if you've been through so much, like you said, and all the pains that I've been caused in my life, I just feel obligated to the fact to give it all what I've overcame and the habits and knowledge I use to create the person that I am now and give that to everyone else.
I can tell you're passionate about it. Passionate about it. Sorry, everybody. I had surgery last Thursday. It's been 6 days, so I'm not my sharp Julie self today. I'm a little fuzzy on the edges. I don't know. I think the anesthesia really knocks me out and having trouble. But I'm gonna do my best for everybody because it's really important for me to get going again. So yeah, if you could share, you're 18 right now, and you're
And
on the other side of something that was really rough. Did you did you have one event, or was it your whole young childhood that led up to something? Can you give the audience a little background as to what obstacles you've had so far? And then, of course, we're going to talk about your triumphs. So this is really exciting.
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, there was actually, of course, there was multiple events that led to it, but it all first started off with when I just started hanging around and got around the wrong crowd, because your vibe attracts your tribe. Everybody that you hang around is ultimately who you're gonna become out to be. So, like I said, like I always say, I was raised in a good house. Everything was, I wouldn't say perfect, but everything was good, close to it. But the moment I started hanging around this person, he was the brother of the biggest known drug dealer in the city, and I started hanging around him, and that ultimately led to like gang violence and stuff like this. And he always had my back with stuff like that, so I felt more connected to him ultimately, and it just went downhill from there. But it all stemmed really from drugs, like weed. It started off something small, like weed, like something like that, and just really finding ways to buy money, like they get money for the weed. So that's really where the criminal route started. I mean, like I said, I've been involved in gang violence and stuff like that, and had to pull knives out in order to really save me from getting my head split open. And really, if people say that, that's why I always preach this. Like, there's this conscious voice inside us that I refer to, like the authentic voice of God. And if somebody's really feared their life or something like that, they really truly see that God is real. Like, I don't care who doesn't believe in God and whatnot, but really, when you fear death like that, I mean, there's no way that you cannot. The fear of God is not instilled within you. Like, I wasn't believing in Him at that time. I actually was thinking about throwing the rosary in the bayou and everything like that. But I just have to talk about how that was a huge pinnacle in my life. Like one moment I actually thought I was gonna get jumped by 22 people. We were walking down this alleyway, just me and my buddy, that guy, and oh my gosh, like I didn't believe in God leading up to that. So, and I just randomly started praying to him when we were walking down the alley, and then the head guy turned around and then called all of his people off out of nowhere. It was like a miracle. It's like, what the hell was that? So it was crazy.
Oh, I love how you shared that, and I can sense from what you said, you had this best friend, and it was like an exciting bond to have these, your adrenaline's flowing, there's a lot of activity, it's dangerous, but as a teenager, like, what were you, 15, or when did you start hanging out with the drug dealer's brother?
Yeah, it was like 15, like 14, 15 actually, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just exciting. You don't understand how these choices can lead to, like you said, you just wanted another fix, you wanted a little more weed, you want to make a little money, and all of a sudden you're in this alleyway and you're praying to God for your life, like
Yeah.
that fear that something told you to reach out to God. So, were you brought up in faith, or
Yeah, I always was.
yeah?
Like, I was raised in a Christian-based home, but I mean, as a kid, we're easily influenced and easily deterred away from the path of what's most best for us because, I mean, really, I was just seeking validation from the wrong source, because sometimes we have 10 people that's saying one thing, but there's this one small voice of our conscience that's calling us to greater purpose, but we don't really listen to that. We ignore that because we really want to validate ourselves with an external source like these 10 other people who were going down the wrong route because, we see it as cool or fun at that time. And I mean, yeah, I was just like 14, 15, seeking validation and really just trying to prove myself. But it was just the wrong thing. And then just really listening. And the more I ignored that small voice inside me, the worse it got. You know, it was just pain avoidance. That's what caused all of it. That's what caused all the depression, anxiety, all the addiction. It was all of that. It was just pain avoidance, just ignoring my conscience, that small call of my conscience day by day.
Yeah, it seems like that's what happens when we ignore our calling. It's like we get a message harder and stronger every time. And it's like if someone could shake another person and say stop and look, and we would
Yeah.
save each other such stress and duress. And yeah, so at what point did you realize that you were living to serve the shiny object, that you were living in the validation of this it's pretty much a cult, right? Because it's serving a person to make money, and you're getting your validation from this system that is, part of our consciousness, right? It's part of our society. Like, dealing drugs has been something in our world, in our field, for a really long time. I mean, I don't know when the word drug dealer was coined, but my whole childhood, I was born in the 70s, we knew the drug dealers. I don't know when it started, but it's been part of our society for a long, long time. So, children being affected, it's normal, right? Like, it's not right, but it's normal. And you are running through this, and you're susceptible because you wanted to make a difference and be seen. But when did you say, okay, I've got to stop this? You said the signs just got stronger and stronger. You thought you were going to die, or what was the moment where you're like, shit, I got to get out of this?
Right, yeah, it was solitude. Like honestly, it was
Mm.
just solitude that it stemmed from solitude because, a person is more useful when they reflect more and they reflect more through solitude. So I was isolated. I mean, I was isolated a lot. I really didn't hang out with anyone, any friends or anything because the main friend I had and the friends I had was, just like thugs or gangsters or wannabe gangsters. So I mean, so we really didn't. So right. So this is what happened. So I got admitted into a psych unit because of all the stuff I was causing on the outside world and everything like that, and all the suicidal thoughts and whatnot caused from seeing all the pain that I was causing to everyone else around me, and everything in which we externally give out into the world, we internally receive right back to us. I've always coined that quote that I never say that I made a quote up because it's all ingested through the universal law, the universal truth, or God. But that's what I came up with, worded it in my own words. I've always had before because I've always believed it because that's where all that pain stemmed from was me externally giving it out to everyone else, like my mom and my dad, and then it ultimately came back to me internally when I was in the psych unit, and then I really was reflecting. They put me in like this isolated room away from everybody else in there because they wanted to
Mm.
watch me on how my alcohol consumption was, make sure I wasn't gonna seize out or anything like that. So
Mm.
I was really sitting deep in the pain, and I was thinking, why the hell am I here? Like I don't want to be in this place. I thought I did. I thought I wanted to go to jail and the psych unit and all that type of stuff. But the moment I got in there, like I immediately regretted it. So in the psych unit though, they wanted to prescribe me to like these therapists, put me on meds and all this stuff, send me to rehab, but I refused it all, and they were begging me and my parents to do it, but I just refused it. So ultimately, I probably should have took that stuff, because when I got out, I still got hooked on everything, and I was laying on the couch one day after a hangover, after actually consuming all of that shit again, because I got back on it. And that's when it all hit me. Because leading up to that moment, I've always like read and reflected and did all this other stuff, but I still didn't really have like a personal development process or anything like that. But I always wanted to change. So, like you said, just over an amount of time, just ignoring your conscience, and it ultimately adds up, right? So that's the time when it added up. Like I got off the couch, and I don't know, I just felt so much pain inflicted within me. Like I was so mad at myself and uncomfortable with my position, and I had to change. So the only thing I did was run into the bathroom mirror, look myself in the mirror, and call myself out on everything I was doing wrong. I really took accountability for it, all my fuck ups and wrongdoings I was partaking in that time. And that's what really changed it all. And these two things is what I preach most, because it's what saved my life. It's intense physical action, um, and really talking to yourself, like your self talk being directly aligned to the person that you want to become. Because right after I woke up off the couch, I took accountability. I ran 5 miles, and while running, because I was boxing at the time, so I didn't, I didn't just randomly run 5 miles, No, like I was boxing at the time, so yeah, and I ran 5 miles, and my self talk was strictly aligned to the man I wanted to become. And then that's when
Mhm.
change. That's what changed everything. I really saw it deep and said, I don't need any of this external solutions for an internal problem that stemmed from within. So I really dug deep and realized that. I realized that at an early age. And then ever since then, I just kept implementing these certain habits and mindset change that ultimately changed me to who I am now.
It's a beautiful story. And that accountability, and you're not going to be a victim, you're going to make the choice. And I can relate to looking at yourself in the mirror and saying you're going to be true to yourself, because that takes a lot of guts to look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is who I want to be. Because I've done it before, and the first time I did it, I was bawling, and I didn't have the baggage. I hadn't hurt people intentionally, or I wasn't part of a gang or anything. I hadn't had to draw a knife on anybody, but the way I was living was hurting people because I wasn't being true to myself. And I'm not trying to draw too many parallels, but when you said you looked yourself in the mirror, I was like, I feel you. I know what you're talking about. And it's a turning point. And anybody who's out there, just try it, because you can see your soul when you look at yourself in the mirror. Really look at yourself into your own eyes and say, this is where I'm going. Because
Exactly. Yeah.
that's a decision. That's a choice point, right? Ooh,
It is
yeah.
100%, and that's a lot of things that people don't do. Now, they really don't like to take accountability. And like I say, this wisdom is applicable to anybody fucking out there, like 18, 30, 40, 50 on up. I've trained clients and talked to people and had people wanting to talk to me about their problems that are 50 and 60 years old. Like somebody called me 2, 3 weeks ago about a problem because they were thinking about admitting themselves into a psych unit because they're struggling with suicidal thoughts and everything. And I'm like, bro, you're just not being fucking honest with yourself. Like go in there. Like he was in there, and then he came out, and then he
Mhm.
called me, and I was like, I mean, honestly, everybody in there is dealing with the same shit. It's a common problem that you've just magnified over time. Like I say, from pain avoidance, from avoiding your pain, instead of really sitting deep in that pain and regret that you feel from the past, and looking at it as an opportunity for forward progression towards your future self, creating the best possible version of you. And that's what I've done. And I mean, oh my gosh, a lot of these people out here are not honest with themselves. Like, and I don't know where this phrase came up with, that you should really look at yourself in the mirror and accept what you see. I mean, I'm not going to accept anything that I don't fucking like. I'm going to change it, obviously, And then that's the thing. Like, I don't know why people are so fond of that idea. I mean, I've had so much compassion and comfort on my life that I don't need any of that anymore. The compression is really what changed me. Like I needed that compression instilled within me from others to really change who I am and who I was. And that's what my dad did. Like after I got arrested, man, I got it from him, but that's what I needed. I didn't need
Mhm.
anybody to really comfort me because comfort is what destroyed me in the first place, you know? So, I mean, just massive compassion is really what changed me and being truthfully honest. And the truth hurts, of course, but that's what's most needed. All the pain that we're wanting to avoid is what's most needed to be ran into. And that's what I've done. That's the only thing that I've done, and that's the only thing I did to actually change me and transcend myself at such an early age. I just realized it and actually implemented those actions.
Yeah, so now you're committed to helping other people, and you're a trainer and a mindset coach, and I encourage people to go to John's website because it's very valuable. Um, it's it's not like one of those websites you go and you have no idea what they're really telling you to do. Like you're really you're it's very clear. John is completely clear because I think he's coming from such a great place of clarity. Um, and we were talking before this interview, before we started recording, about how we have these entanglements, and it's really amazing to think that something we could say here could alter someone else's life, and then to look at how us showing up as our best self weaves into someone else's life and gives them courage to go there. So I really feel like that sort of has come out because, you're like, own it, be authentic. So yeah, John, it's so beautiful.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like we have, and so many people have stories out there, but they just don't want to share it or anything. But everybody's story, I feel like, is an opportunity to, save somebody else's life or help them out because everyone can relate to someone, you know. And I mean, that's just what it is. Like people they don't really want the honest truth anymore, especially men out here. They got so comfortable. And I know I'm 18 years old, but my habits are directly aligned and strictly aligned to the bodily image that I want to possess and the future husband and father I want to be for my future wife and kids. And then some of these fathers out here that actually do have wife and kids, their habits are not aligned to the person that they most want to be, you know. And it's just fucking crazy. Like that's why I say this wisdom is applicable to anyone. Because if I was 15, 16, and if I was an addict, so to say, at 15, 16, got admitted into the psych unit and had to get put on watch because of how much alcohol I was consuming. And if I transited myself now at 18 years old, just because I was exposed to these universal laws and truths, it's like the law of exposure. Once you're exposed to it, there's no going back. So if somebody's really
Mhm.
committed down the life of crime and negativity, the moment they're exposed to something more positive and influential towards something greater, then there's no way their conscience will side with them of doing lesser of what everything they could be. So every time that I'm doing less of what I actually could be fucking doing, like my conscience just yells at me. And the only difference for me now to who I was back then was I actually listened to that voice. That's all what it comes down to. Everybody out here is the same. We're all the same. No one's better or different than anyone else. It's just whose habits are more aligned and who really abides their conscience on a day-to-day basis. And that's pretty much it comes down to that. That is simple. Like the more you deviate from your conscience, then the less confident and then the less secure you'll feel within yourself. You know. And then it's always the smallest voice that may not even make sense at first. That is what's most needed to be ran into. And it's just like everything that we most want to avoid, everything that we most wish to receive is on the other side of everything that we most want to avoid. And the moment we actually run into that is, I mean, the clarity and all this other shit is just it's abundant, because every time that I'm avoiding something and procrastinating, and then I run right into it, I just get so much clarity back in return.
So do you find yourself saying, "Hey, John, why is this a big deal?" And you sort of ask yourself, or you get quiet and just wait for the answer? Because it does take a little bit, to realize you have a consciousness first. Like, yes, you have this inner voice, you have this soul that wants to tell you things. If you can just shut the other stuff up, like turn off your phone, stop
Right.
listening to someone, just get quiet first. But how do you question yourself when you're running up against that wall.
Right. Well, I just, you can never really solve a problem in the same place in which it arrived from. And so I really just get in a higher frequency, which means I just elevate past all the bullshit or the negative answers that I may once had before through, like I do it, I call it like a meditative state. That's what the high frequency is. I get there through my burpees, through, like I say, intense
Mhm.
physical action, through something like that, getting my heart rate up, the blood oxidation level moving, so you can really, I mean, that's the only way that you can really start to feel good. Nobody feels bad after a workout. So every time when a problem arises, I really just try to raise my frequency, get in flow state, and solve the problem at that point. I never really
Mm.
try to truly solve a problem, like I said, at the same place it arrived at, a lower or a medium frequency. Like I really tend to get in that higher frequency through my self-talk, and it's really through consistently following my conscience. Like if I hold word to myself each and every day, then it's so easy to get in that high frequency, and it's so easy to really find the clarity to any problem out there. Because like I was just talking about this a while ago. I have such a structured process and program that I go down every single day that I know exactly when and where I break character because it's so structured, and I know exactly what I'm doing at what time. So I can really reflect and see where I went wrong and where that negativity was caused because of my structured process and program. And this is why I preach it and teach it to everyone else around me, because they need that structured process and program, because everybody else's habits and everything is all over the fucking place. The moment they
Mm.
actually have some structure within their day instilled within them, then they can truly see where they went wrong at. And it's very easy to find the problem to whatever situation or problem that arises at that point. Because of course, if everything's all over the place, then it's hard to really find a solution.
Right. And I really
Yeah.
do believe that you can't solve your problem if you're in that emotion of, what brought how you're feeling when the problem comes. You have to find a different state. That change of state is huge. Um, yeah, that's such great advice to do something that raises you. And that's why I love, that's why I'm so dedicated to the life of love, because to me, if I don't have time to go work out, because I know working out is really, really great. It's just awesome. But if I can't, I get quiet and I just return to like accepting and loving myself and being like, Julie, this isn't where you want to be. And I just give myself love. And that feeling of love, even though you're in a place you don't appreciate, you still love yourself. You can raise your vibration so fast, because fear and love can't coexist. And whatever caused that feeling of frustration or lack or disconnection, whatever is making you want to avoid something because it seems hard, once you face it with love, it doesn't have power over you anymore. It's, thinking about it is much worse than actually going through it.
Yeah.
I love you no matter what. If you fall flat on your face, I'm still here for you. I still love you. And it just diffuses. That's why I'm committed to preaching life of love. And so I appreciate your take on it, because you're young and you have all this energy and you have this awesome body you can use to run it through. And that's glorious. And everyone should do that, because it not only improves your physicality, it improves your mind. So it's a beautiful place to be, and a great platform. I applaud you. I love how you've done that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I
And
said,
did yeah.
if like I feel obligated to share everything that saved my life, like all the pain that I caused and was caused in my life, any opportunity I get to share it, I have to. I just like every single time when I try to do something else in life, I always get deterred right back. I always get put back on the path of this, like coaching or helping others. Because like I said before, everything that we want to receive internally within ourselves is what we most need to be what's mostly needs to be given externally onto others. So every time when I'm dealing with the problem or anything like that, I go help someone else out with their problems instead of solely focusing and worrying about mine.
A
Yeah,
service. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, so did you study the universal laws? Because you mentioned them a couple times.
No, no. There's like the like I said, the law of attraction and law of exposure and stuff like this. I never really truly studied it. I just like this is the thing. I heard it. So I have a mentor, and I heard it from him speaking about it.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
really, yeah, and really, I just lived it. Like especially when I was, like I said, when I was going down on that negativity and the pinnacle where I turned my life around, I lived it, and that's how I changed so quick at such an early age. Like I didn't just instill all this knowledge and wisdom within me. I fucking lived it. Like I lived it day by day. I actually implemented the actions and habits and the wisdom that I gained, and that's what changed me so quick because I implemented it throughout the day. I didn't just learn and read about
Yeah, I heard somebody say universal law, and that was one of those things where my brain was like, what is a
it.
universal law?
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's heard of The Secret, the law of attraction. That's like so
Mm-hmm.
mainstream. But I believe there's like 28 or 32. I'm sure
Oh
it's a
yeah, there's
significant
a
number.
yeah.
There's a bunch of them, and I read them all, and it does change the way you look at things
Mm-hmm.
when you can look at those. So I'll put that in the show notes because hopefully I can find it again because it took me a little digging to find it. 'Cause it's not like,
Yes.
a book you can pull up really quick.
Right, right.
But if their ears perked up on anything that you just said, I want to encourage you to look into it because there are these there are these words that have a charge, they have a frequency, and we're all here to tell someone
Mhm.
something. We're all here to ignite something in somebody. And if something catches your ear, there's a reason. So it's part of your life path. And I'm just validating that both John and I are involved with universal law, but we didn't know about that before we started talking. And I haven't had another guest on my show bring this up before. So I just want to hold space for that and let people know how powerful these principles are. And we don't teach them to our children, but they can change your life. And especially when you learn them at an early age, it becomes integrated into your soul. And you were supposed to, you had a path. This is part of your destiny.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, like, uh, I mean, if we instill these habits and everything at such an early age, I mean, we'll just propel past everybody in the future. I mean, there's a lot of people in my class. Like, I'm a senior in high school, right? I'm still in high school, and and there's people in my classes that, like, I hear a lot about the depression and all of this stuff coming up, especially nowadays, and I just feel like I said, it's all just because of pleasure, like pleasure seeking, and pain avoidance, like
Mhm.
neurosis. That's what's the cause of any future projection of anxiety or past regression of depression or anything like that. And I mean, honestly, it's just pleasure seeking. Like if we really seek an external source for an internal problem, that only deters us further away from the truth and what we really need to actually seek deep and run into. Like I say, like the pain is on the solution to our problem is on the other side of what we most want to avoid. So that's just what I've learned to do every single day. And that's what I do in my morning process. And that's what helps me out so much is, I get up at 2:40, I do my workout, and I do my morning reflection. Like I really sit deep in the pain, like I say, and reflect on the day before and see what I regret. And I use the regret as a guidance to really expose a weakness to my character instead of exploiting and relying on the strengths so I can be solid across the board with my personal
Because most people
development.
just try to hide their weaknesses, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
let me get in there. Let me get in there and
exactly.
mess it around. Did you say you get up at 2:40 a.m.?
Yeah, 240. I mean, I've been doing that for for like, I don't know, 560 days going now. I would
Wow.
say 500 some days going. And I post it every single day on my Instagram so people don't see me miss, so they can see, the consistency that a person's capable of. So that's what I do on my Instagram a lot. I'm on there 24/7. Like I post my wake up, my workout, and all this shit on there. I've been posting on my Instagram before I got arrested. I used to post drugs and all of this stuff on my stories, and then now they see me post this type of stuff, years later. So they see me grow. Like my my Snapchat, my Instagram just see me grow for these past years.
It's a living journal. I love
Yeah,
it.
literally. Yeah.
Well, how do you get enough sleep to stay healthy? Do you go to bed really early too, or because
Yeah,
you need
right,
sleep?
right, right. Yeah, sometimes I'll go to bed early. I mean, I usually go to bed around knock out at like 9 or 10, but like last night I fell asleep at 11. It just depends on how much needs to be done that day or how much work I have on my phone or who I need to get back to. But really, yeah, like going to sleep is at like 8 or 9 is needed, but it's not
Hmm.
necessarily what I do. But yeah,
That has to be your regular, not the exception.
right, right.
Because you want to be cranky, John. You want to be happy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm super cranky when I don't get. Oh my gosh. But that's the thing. Like I push past the mind and body, and I really allow the soul to take over. Now I really need it. Like I don't say I need sleep because every time I do that, I feel selfish. Like no, I don't need shit. I just need to outwardly give this person that I've internally created throughout the years of overcoming all this adversity. Like that's all I need to do in this life. And then at that moment, that's when I really push past all the negativity, desires, temptations, and bullshit that John Kimball possessed, and now I'm existing in a way higher frequency outside of the body and mind of John Kimball, and I'm really tapping into like my soul, my frequency, and I'm existing within the needs of others. And in return, I'm getting helped out myself. Like I always say, I mean, I'm actually being selfish sometimes because I need to give all this knowledge and wisdom I have to others in order for me to feel good myself. So it's not always only about them.
Yeah. Well, I can see you're coming from a great place, and I can't think of a better addiction than to be addicted to feeling good from helping somebody
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
Jump on that addiction train, everybody.
Exactly.
Oh, our time is coming up, John. This has been so delightful, and I think there's so many great messages have come through. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, like the message that I always say. I think I have the quote. I do have the quote on my website. It's whenever anytime that you're feeling like no one, get up and do something worthy of feeling like someone. And that really stems from the quote, the work instills the worth. So the more work you put forth into yourself, the more worthy you'll feel in return. So every time when the days may feel sluggish or you might feel you're in a losing season, because I used to believe that. Right now I'm talking to myself. Like right now I'm talking to me who used to believe that things weren't going his way just because of the season or something like that, but it's really just abiding by your word and falling through on everything that you said that you were going to do. And that's all it is. It's no season or time of the year that things go your way and don't go your way. Because even when things aren't going your way externally, if you internally create that person that can go anywhere, like you create the person that can attain the result rather than solely focusing on the result itself, then no matter what external situation is going on outside, it doesn't matter if hell's breaking loose, you'll always be at peace within your mind because you created this heaven, instilled within you. And then that's what I always preach, basically just creating that person, that best version of yourself, and then outwardly giving that to everybody else.
Yeah, it's always something you work on, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I honor that. Honor the work that you've done. Oh, it's such a delight. And that's some of my core thing is that you're precious and you deserve to live your best life. And not showing up as your authentic self is really,
And
it's not just preventing the world from being the
yeah.
best it can be, but it's
Mhm.
preventing yourself. So you cherish that divinity inside of you. You deserve it. You deserve to have predictability, routine, and you deserve to question when you're feeling bad. You deserve to explore. You're worth the time. You're worth the time to say, hey, what does this really mean? I'm inspired by you, John. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you.